to improve the health of people here in DC, around this country, and around the world. That's the mission of us in public health. And you all, by being a faculty, student, staff, friend, advisor, collaborator, are already part of that process. And so it is incredibly exciting to host these research days. I want to thank George Washington University and the Office of the Vice President of Research for obviously coordinating this event, and our school, of course, participates. You all represent the public health community, and I'm really excited that today we can not only celebrate some of you, but actually celebrate every single person who participated. Because once you're out there, once you've got a poster, a paper, so first I want you all to actually give all of us a round of applause. So join me. I'm honored now to introduce our Dean, Professor Lynn Goldman. Dr. Goldman is, of course, known to all of you. She's the Michael and Laurie Wilkin Dean, Professor of Environmental Health Science, and an incredible researcher herself. I won't spend time introducing her, but you should do a PubMed search on her. You should see the amount of work that she's done. And also, not only in research, but bridging the gap between research and policy. And that's incredibly difficult for us to do. So that, I hope, will be a theme you'll hear a little bit more of later today. But I'll request Dean Goldman to, first of all, welcome you formally on behalf of the school, and then I'll request her to also introduce our keynote speaker for today. So thank you for being here again.
Yes, so welcome to you all for our celebration of Research Day, and of course the speaker that we have with us in the awards that people will receive. But I heard that a round of applause, which to me was a little bit anemic, and I'm thinking about the fact that if this were basketball, that I would have heard a lot more sound, I would have heard cheering, and so I'd like to hear another round of applause for all of you, as well as for Mom Hyder and all of the staff who made Research Day happen. And you know, this is our sport, guys. So let's do it. So I have to say that it's with great joy also that I'm here this evening, and partly because I have been able to participate in the annual Research Day here every single year for a number of years, and each year it is a different experience. But this year in particular, the research that all of you have been involved with, it's superb. And I see the changes, I see the significance of the work that you're doing, I see the impact that you are already making in terms of building knowledge in your respective fields. And it really makes me feel very, very good as the dean of the school to have the opportunity to do that. Those of you who I was able to talk to today know that I was going pretty quickly from I wanted to see every single poster. I missed some of the posters, and those of you whose posters I missed, I'm really, really sorry. But there was so much that it was almost overwhelming, even for me, and for that I'm very grateful. But I'm here to really introduce our speaker. And we have with us Dr. Hennis. He has been here before, but while the building was still under construction, we toured him through it. He has the ability now to see what this building is like when there are students and faculty and his research going on in it. He is director of the Department of Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health for the Pan-American Health Organization, the World Health Organization. His department coordinates activities on non-communicable diseases and related risk factors, nutrition, violence and injuries, road safety, disabilities, and mental health and illicit substance abuse throughout the Americas. He graduated in medicine from the University of the West Indies and qualified in internal medicine in the UK. Dr. Hennis was Wellcome Trust Clinical Epidemiology Fellow to the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, the University of London, where he obtained a Master's of Science and a PhD in epidemiology. He has been Professor of Medicine and Epidemiology at the University of the West Indies, as well as Research Associate Professor in Preventive Medicine at Stony Brook University in New York. Dr. Hennis has collaborated on several NIH grants, which conducted research into eye disease, diabetes, as well as diabetes in pregnancy, cardiovascular disease and stroke, population genetics, cancer, and social disparities of health. He led the establishment of a national non-communicable disease surveillance system and population-based cancer registry in Barbados, and authored or co-authored more than 150 peer-reviewed papers. Dr. Hennis has spent his career working to tackle NCDs through clinical practice, research and publication, teaching, working collaboratively within civil society and through public health practice. Welcome.
Dean Coleman. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Admin, for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to participate here with you this afternoon. It's really wonderful to see this space and these rooms full of people with lots of promise, lots of excitement, lots of potential and hope for the future. And of course, really not just researchers, also to your advisors, and all of you have made this possible. And I really was delighted to hear that Dean asked for that chair, that basketball chair, because this is our sport. Well, the title of my talk is Between Sisyphus and Hercules, Reflections on a Career in Research. We actually shared the title, but my assistant didn't believe I was serious about the title, so she never shared it. So she sent it off this afternoon. And I'll tell you why I chose that title. Now this date, 10th of April, has been a very auspicious day in history. On this day in 1912, the Titanic set sail from Southampton. In 1960, on this day, the Senate of the United States passed the landmark Civil Rights Bill, and in 1995, New York City banned smoking in all restaurants seating 35 persons or more. And of course, today is Research Day. And as we speak, there's yet another national crisis in the United States, and you're wrong. For the first time since World War I, life expectancy has declined, and opioids are a major contributor. This new and evolving public health crisis is seemingly fueled by anger and hopelessness with devastating consequences. Who among you will ask the necessary questions and find the appropriate solutions? And who will benefit from your work? We are all connected and interconnected. That's the first lesson I'll share with you. Although I didn't know it then, I was extremely privileged. I went to a secondary school which is grades 6 to 12 in Barbados, and my school was founded in 1733. This was some 40 years before the independence of the United States. Harrison College was started by a Bridgetown merchant to serve as a public and free school for the poor and indigent boys of the parish. It's not quite. And from these humble beginnings, the school has become one of the most prestigious in the Caribbean, and has educated 6 prime ministers and 4 governors, an Olympian, and luminaries in medicine, including one Dr. Henry Edmund Gaston Boyle. He was born in Barbados in 1875, but revered as, note this, the British anesthesiologist who invented the Boyle's machine, which was the prototype of the anesthesia machine now in use worldwide. He was went to my school. Among the more recent distinguished graduates, there's a listing for one Alan Eptich, computer scientist. Alan graduated 1 year after I did, and we both won the national scholarship. I am sure that as we're doing the research for your projects, you all Google various sites and sources. I'm also 100% sure that you did not know that in 1989, while still a student and working as a systems administrator for the School of Computer Science, McGill University, Alan conceived and implemented the original version of the Archie search engine, the world's first internet search engine. Therefore, this is part of the legacy of my school. Harrison College shaped my learning and thinking, and winning the Barbados Scholarship allowed me to pursue my dream of becoming a physician, and what else followed thereafter. These anecdotes highlight for me the incredible good fortune of having access to excellent educational opportunities, and secondly, the fact that our lives are all interlinked. Take chances. I was a young medical student in the summer of 1986. Our aircraft swooped low across the mist, blanketing the River Nile, and landed at Entebbe, Uganda. This was almost 10 years to the day that the dramatic rescue of the hijacked Air France and release of the captive Israeli citizens had taken place at this very same airport. The lead of that mission, Captain Jonathan Netanyahu, he was familiar to all of you, lost his life in that effort. For me, this trip was the start of a life-changing adventure. My friend and former classmate from Harrison College, Chris, then a medical student at Cambridge University, England, had invited me to join him on an expedition. Those were the early days of the AIDS epidemic in Central Africa. Luc Montagnier and Robert Gallo had independently described the LV, lymphadenopathy-associated virus, and HLV3 virus as the cause of AIDS. Chris, my friend, had engaged Abraham Karpus, a Cambridge researcher who claimed to have been the third person to recognize the AIDS virus. Karpus had developed a rapid HIV slide test for use in the field. After an afternoon training in this lab, we were off to Uganda to seek the truth about where AIDS really began. We found ourselves on the other side of the world, in situations that were unstable and frankly dangerous. Milton Obote had just been expelled from Uganda, and Museveni was the new leader. Armed soldier boys were everywhere, unrestrained, intolerant, and trigger happy. Everyone had lost someone in the recent wars. Buildings were pockmarked with bullet holes, and there were trays of human skeletons, the only evidence of recent massacres on display outside the villages in the Lower Triangle in Kampala. And we saw them. We traveled around the southwestern part of the country conducting our research in HIV. I recall listening in rapt attention while an 8-year-old schoolboy, with his teacher serving as a translator, tried to convince us that he had had more than 20 sexual partners. We also visited the Queen Elizabeth Game Park, where Sue Endicott was recently kidnapped and missed. And we experienced the overwhelming gratitude of surviving a possible ambush as we drove through a checkpoint. No one said that the pursuit of knowledge is without risk. We completed our research, returned home, and finally submitted our paper. Kim Fox, the then editor of The Lancet, wrote back in the inimitable style that British are known for. Dear Dr. Hess, I enjoyed reading your paper, but alas, to enjoy is not necessarily to publish. This still ranks as my best rejection yet. The paper titled, Risk Factors for the Spread of AIDS in Rural Africa, Evidence from a Comparative Seroepidemiological Survey of AIDS, Hepatitis B and Syphilis in Southwestern Uganda, was eventually published in the Journal of AIDS in 1988. This reinforced me another life lesson. If at first you don't succeed, then try again. And that's when we began a lifelong affair with science and research. Be curious, observe, question, and document. Now, while I was doing my clinical internship in Barbados, I observed a patient with an elevated blood glucose having intermittent jerking of the right upper lip, so-called focal seizures, not like this. That's what I mean. I reviewed the literature in an attempt to understand why. This phenomenon had first been described in 1965, and some of my senior colleagues had seen it before. I assembled a case series, and this resulted in my second publication, Focal Seizures and Non-Ketonic Hyperglycemia, the prestigious British Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery, and Psychiatry. But while you're being curious, remember that curiosity in fact killed the cat, and always try to be prescient. During my travels, I encountered several young men who became psychotic after drinking a tea made from the leaves of a local plant. So I collected a number of these plants, determined to take them back to Britain to solve the mystery. Fortunately, I sought the opinion of a local and learned that these were not the exotic flora I supposed they were, but simply cannabis plants. So had I proceeded with my original plan, I would most certainly have had a very different life. Live every day to the fullest. Tomorrow is never promised. I'd seen my friend Kishore on a Friday while we were on break from college. We'd attended the same primary school and then, of course, Carson College. A few days later, he was back at college in Canada, and while walking through the snow on his way to classes, he fell ill and collapsed. Although he received care at a major medical center within minutes, he was dead at age 21. Time is short, time is precious, don't waste it. Never put off for tomorrow what you can do today. Next message. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Having completed my internship at the Big World Patent, I worked with the British physician during sabbatical in Barbados. With his help, I submitted a research proposal to the Wellcome Trust UK. I was keen to improve my research knowledge and determined to follow my friend Chris, who had attended the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, University in London. But my life was now more complex as I was newly married. The London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine is recognized as a world-leading center for research in postgraduate education in public and global health, as is George Washington University. My welcome proposal called for a trial to prevent weight gain in pregnancy, which the literature cited as an important cause of female obesity, a significant concern in our city. At this time, David Barker of Southampton University was developing his work on the fetal origins of adult disease, also known as the Barker hypothesis. In 1986, he had published findings proposing a direct link between prenatal nutrition and adult onset coronary heart disease. This was novel work, and I had unwittingly stumbled right into the debate on the importance of the intrauterine environment and health. My prior publications had convinced the Wellcome Trust that I could be a credible researcher, and I had been awarded a one-year fellowship to pursue a master's in epidemiology at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. I now had the option to defend or modify my planned research or to submit a new proposal. I chose the latter and proposed investigating the relationship between pregnancy weight gain and glucose intolerance. My welcome fellowship interview took place at the salubrious Regent Park headquarters of the Trust. The term interview was a euphemism. It was anything but. Sitting at the table were a dozen of the leading British academics, and the panel chair was none other than David Barker himself, and he was not a happy camper. So, you plan to restrict calorie intake during pregnancy? He asked me, positively bristling. I politely indicated that he had the incorrect version of the proposal. Immediately paused. Then Katie Cole posed questions from a recent editorial in the BMJ of May 1993 on where are the women in studying cardiovascular disease. I was up to date on the literature and able to knowledgeably expound. The tone of the interview immediately changed. My fellowship was extended, and I was later able to negotiate a further extension to do a PhD. Mindful of the unique opportunities then available to me, I also completed my boards in internal medicine, somewhere between writing my master's thesis and beginning my doctoral studies. Next, concept. If the pasture is greener on the other side, water your own patch. With the end of my doctoral studies in sight, I now had to seriously think about my next steps. My wife and young son were based in Barbados, and I was eager to return home. One day, a senior faculty member at London University met me in the corridor and offered me a faculty position. This was a rare opportunity that would allow me to join a world-renowned institution with infinite opportunities, rather than return to the Caribbean, which lacked basic resources. I returned to the Caribbean, the most appropriate decision for so many reasons. This was truly a case of watering one's own patch, since the grass on the other side was indisputably greener. Stony Brook University had been conducting research into the major eye diseases in Barbados since 1987, and an opportunity immediately opened for me to become involved with the project. I was asked to lead the data collection center in addition to my clinical and research responsibilities with the University of the West Indies. The Barbados Eye Studies was based on a national representative cohort of more than 4,700 persons initially aged 40 to 84, in which participants had ophthalmic and other examinations during 3 NIH grant cycles over 9 years. It is the largest glaucoma study ever conducted on a Black population and identified more people with glaucoma, open-angle glaucoma, than did any previous population study. We reported a 7% prevalence of open-angle glaucoma in Afro-Barbadians. The study also reported on prevalence and incidence of intraocular pressure, cataract, which is very common, and linked to increased age and diabetes, age-related macular degeneration, unlike predominantly white populations, that was very rare, and their related risk factors. As I previously noted, we are all interconnected. One, Professor James Tealch of the Baltimore Eye Study, and now on faculty at this university, co-wrote an editorial titled Risk Factors for Open-Angle Glaucoma, the Barbados Eye Study, published in Archive of Ophthalmology in 1996. We also investigated the genetic origins of open-angle glaucoma in the Barbados Family Study of Glaucoma. These studies were highly successful, not only because of the governance structures and accountability frameworks, but because we worked as a team. Research is never about individuals. Additionally, the principal investigator was an excellent mentor who truly looked after her mentees. I was encouraged to add value to the work and publish papers based on my interest in diabetes and hypertension, including their links with eye disease. Next message, be strategic. As Barbados Eye Studies were coming to an end around 2000, the big question was, what research topic would be relevant enough to attract NIH support, could be conducted in Barbados, and yet contribute globally to science? Black women were more likely to suffer from highly aggressive triple-negative breast cancer, while Black men in westernized settings had the highest rates of prostate cancer globally. And so began a new journey. We established a project to evaluate the feasibility of studying these questions, with pilot funds from the NHGRI. Francis Collins was then head of the NHGRI, and he's now head of the NIH, as you will know. And he visited us in Barbados and spoke about the Human Genome Project, which is then at the very cutting edge of science. These were truly exciting times. Our first grant application to the NCI in prostate cancer in Barbados was not successful. The second application was not accepted because of an administrative error at the NCI. Our collaborators stepped back, but the department head at Stony Brook just worked harder. The final application was successful, and this led to the Barbados National Cancer Study on prostate cancer. My career also progressed in parallel. I became research associate professor at Stony Brook University, and by my early 40s, professor of medicine and epidemiology and director of the Medical Research Center at my home institute. We obtained grants from the Wellcome Trust UK to work on diabetes-related amputations and to develop a national stroke registry, one of only 4 in the entire Americas. A grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation allowed us to study systemic lupus erythematosus in our female population and document rates that were among the highest worldwide, as well as the poor clinical outcomes that we were able to document. Collaborations with 7 universities in the US ultimately led to research grants exceeding $100 million in NIH funding. As a result, I have authored or co-authored more than 150 papers. When I joined the University of Barbados in 1987, there were 3 staff members in my department, And when I resigned this chair a decade and a half later, they were now 36. Leave a legacy change the world. I cannot emphasize enough the critical importance of mentorship and investing in people. Having excellent mentors changed my life. Likewise, I try to invest in others. When I moved to DC, it was gratifying to meet former students of mine who are now attending positions in this city. So then, what difference will you, by your living and your work, make to the world? It is important to consider how you invest your time. We're either going forward or we're going backwards. We never stay in the same place. And as we get older, the forks in the road are fewer. About 5 years ago, there was an extraordinary opportunity that led me to DC as Director of Non-Communicable Disease and Mental Health at PAHO. It is a tremendous responsibility to work closely with countries in the practice of public health to promote and institute policies that save lives. While I will never individually know those whom we try to help, I am convinced that our work has tremendous value. It is both exhausting and at the same time exhilarating. And far more work exists than we can manage in a lifetime, even with our combined efforts. I'm reminded of Sisyphus, infantly pushing the rock up the hill, only to have it roll down again, yet finding joy in his activities. While Hercules, the superhuman, achieves everything all the time, even though the task seems impossible. I find myself there to Sisyphus on the scale, grateful for the chance to find joy in the effort. I also acknowledge the importance of recognition and the large number of awards that I've been honored to receive, just as some of you will be recognized here today. So now, what will your role be in public health? You've seen flu pandemics and the threat of Ebola. And if history has taught us anything, it's that there will be another deadly global pandemic. Who among you will figure this out and provide leadership? While information has increased or interconnectedness, it regrettably has been weaponized to serve harmful purposes. We are all aware of the impact of fake news driving the anti-vaxxer movement, which has led to the resurgence of vaccine-preventable infectious diseases such as measles. Who among you will solve these new health challenges? By 2050, more than 9 billion people are expected to be living on this planet, with 2 billion above the age of 60, hopefully including me. This will be associated with unique challenges such as dependence on long-term care issues. We also face a rapidly evolving dementia epidemic, 135 million sufferers projected globally by 2050. The world is wholly unprepared for the implications of this health challenge. How will we help? To address the global challenges with a view to a more equitable, sustainable, and just planet for all, governments have agreed on a very ambitious set of sustainable development goals, including SDG 3, which addresses healthy lives and well-being. This target is to be achieved by 2030. How will you help to make this happen? And we're living through the greatest pandemic that the world has seen, the burden of non-communicable diseases and their online risk factors, all man-made and preventable. How will you be part of the solution? Reducing social disparities in health and progressing towards universal health. The United States spends 2.5 times the average health spend of the 35 OECD countries in 2016, yet lags behind in commensurate gains in life expectancy. Why is there such a large mismatch between the investment and the outcomes? What will you do to help to narrow this gap? We all like to use the metro here in DC. Along with the green line, life expectancy at Greenbelt is 75 years, compared to 72 years at Gallery Place. On the red line is 81.3 years at Shady Grove, compared to 72 years at Union Station, a 9-year disparity over 30 miles. And on the blue line, life expectancy is 80.9 years at Franconia Springfield versus 72 years at Foggy Bottoms, downright dangerous. A 9-year disparity over 10 metro summits. These disparities reflect lack of access to healthcare, education and good jobs, poverty, racial and social discrimination. What will you do to ensure that all have equitable access to quality care, not associated with cancer, stroke, and worse? So, there is an infinite amount of work to be done. You are uniquely prepared to contribute, and likely, you are privileged, whether you recognize it or not. So I implore you to go forward and be good and faithful servants, treat public health as a vocation, and work to improve the lot of your fellow men. Your research can change the world, as can your commitment to excellence in public health practice. I wish you all the very best.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Hess. This remarkable talk, not only about your career, but how you wed so many important lessons. And I love the quotations and the lessons that Dr. Hennis was teaching us. The journey from Barbados to London to right here in Washington, D.C. is an incredible journey. And I really like the fact that you emphasize joy in the process. There's joy in the effort. Whatever happens at the end is different, but I love that image. And I think the challenge to us, how will you help? That's true for students who are just starting, as well as those of us who spent 25 years in the field. How will we help? So thank you for those metaphors. As a small token of our appreciation, I'll request our Dean to present to you a small gift to say thank you for sharing your lessons and for being here with us. Thank you very much. So Teresa, if you want to come up, and I'm going to request our Dean to come up here as well. This is the very exciting part of our ceremony where we are actually going to talk about some prizes. So today, so many of you participated in the research day, so many of your mentors and your assistants all helped. We have a group of prizes here. You'll see we are going to give out prizes in 5 different categories. We have undergraduate, master's, doctoral, recent alumni, research staff, and video submissions. So are you ready? Okay.
Go.
Let's make sure we put those hands together for our colleagues. So first, the Judges' Choice Award this is by judges, and I want to thank 20 faculty from the Wilkin Institute School of Public Health who spent 2.5 hours of their time going around every single poster and judging using standardized criteria, equally weighted, put in an Excel spreadsheet with standardized formulas and coming out with an incredible. So first, please join me in thanking our judges. So our first award will be the runner-up on the undergraduate category, Natalie. Are you here? Okay, she's recovering, so. And our first prize winner in this category is Kanchan Misra. Are you there? Congratulations. The next category is our master's category, and our runner-up is Lauren. Lauren, are you here? She's here. You made it. Congratulations. And our first prize winner in the master's category is Hannah Press. Is Hannah here? Pardon?
I'm her roommate.
Okay, sure. You must have done something right. It is tough, you know, people are displaying their posters the whole day and then they're going to run here. So our next category is doctoral awards, which is, I think, slightly new this year. And so our runner-up is Lindsay. Next year. Okay, well, we are still celebrating. And our first prize winner is Kishi Huang. There you are. Wonderful. course, are really changing the world. Now, our recent alumni, our research staff, our runner-up is Megan. Are you here? Well, congratulations. And our first prize winner in this category is Imran. Well done, congratulations. And now, for video submissions, our choice award is Valerie. Are you in the room? Valerie, congratulations, Valerie. And the People's Choice Award, now this had nothing to do with the judges. This is based on popular vote, and our People's Choice Award goes to Natalie. Once again, Matt, you clearly did something right. So first of all, congratulations. Join me in congratulating all our prize winners for today. Ladies and gentlemen, before we bring the formal part and request you to join us for some small refreshments, I do want to thank a lot of people who made this day possible. I particularly want to thank members of my office, Teresa, Erica, Lily, Marilyn, Nigusi, Nina, Paul. Everybody contributed. This was an incredible amount of work for a large period of time. Thanks to you, Teresa, for leading the team forward. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. The tone is always set by the leadership, so I do want to thank Dean Gorman for the leadership she provides our school, for the enthusiasm and the energy that she allows us to innovate, to have these types of events, and for the wisdom that she provides in directing us as we move ahead. I want to thank all of you for being part of the Milken Institute. As Dr. Hennis has said, this is the beginning of a journey. Let's find out what we can do to change the world. And for that, we want to come back next year and see what other research is done. Thank you. Join us, please, in a little bit of refreshment. Thank you once again.